In the headlines, Prime Minister Skerrit reassures voters there will be peaceful elections on Friday. Opposition leader calls for U.S. intervention as regional forces join local police on the ground in an effort to restore law and order. And election officials conclude training as they prepare for polling day on Friday. I'm Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, protest action in Dominica in a lead-up to Friday's general elections is already having a detrimental impact on the country's fragile tourism industry. Prime Minister Skerrit says cruise lines are already pulling out due to safety concerns.
Dominica cannot afford to receive another black eye at the hands of the United Workers' Party. We have worked too hard, done too much, and come too far to build a solid, positive national reputation, to have it destroyed by this lawless bunch. Just imagine visitors trying to get back to the ship or airport and being stuck behind one of the blockades of the UWP supporters. Just imagine their fear and the fear that they could have. This is a most unfortunate situation. But as a consequence of the recklessness and immaturity of the opposition leader and his supporters in Dominica, and after consultation with several key stakeholders, it is my duty to inform you that our worst fears have been realized. All cruise ship calls to Dominica have been cancelled, effective immediately, and that cessation of services shall remain in effect until after the general election period, when, hopefully, this madness would have subsided and we would have brought to an end to this unwarranted blotch on our otherwise pristine record of peace, safety, and tranquility. I hope the leader of the opposition, Mr. Lennox Linton, former Prime Minister Mr. Edison James, and their foreign partners and advisors can sleep comfortably tonight, knowing that they have now left scores of families in Dominica penniless for the next few days and possibly weeks. This is a sad, sorry day in the rebuild efforts of this country. The lawlessness and irresponsibility of a thoughtless few will now jeopardize the social and economic well-being of all. They are seeking confrontation. Their wish is to be arrested. Their wish is for national unrest. But I urge law-abiding citizens to continue to display restraint.
The Prime Minister says the lawlessness is having a negative impact on Dominica's image as a preferred tourist destination.
Dominica has spent years building and improving on our reputation as one of the best ecotourism islands in the Caribbean. What it took us years to build is now being destroyed in the space of a few days for the selfish gain of a single group. The Ministry of Tourism has also received calls from other cruise lines querying the safety of the passengers in Dominica. The actions of the leadership of the United Workers' Party and its supporters are impacting negatively on the image of Dominica, and ordinary Dominicans are now beginning to feel the repercussions of the UWP's callousness and indifference. Hair braiders, vendors, tour operators, entertainers, artists, popular tour shops such as the Kalinago Territory, tour stops such as the Kalinago Territory, clothing and souvenir vendors, bars, restaurants, shopkeepers, wholesalers, those who set up their tents last night, taxi drivers who lined up this morning, service providers at the various sites, all waited and looked forward to the arrival of the Azamari journey. They were all very disappointed at the news of the cancellation. All these people, their families and staff, will feel this loss in their pockets.
The Prime Minister called on Dominicans to have a peaceful election. He said the lawlessness will come to an end after the election. Roadblocks and fires have also forced visitors to find alternative routes upon arriving in the country.
We have just received additional manpower from the regional security system to ensure all our people and visitors are safe and free to move around. Please let me speak to this matter from the wider economic perspective. I wish to remind all Dominicans that with the demise of bananas as the mainstay, tourism is now the lifeblood of our economy. The government is in the process of building a modern tourism plant, spearheaded by several world-class international hotel brands. The construction of a new airport, which the Chinese have agreed to finance, is intended to strengthen the tourism sector. After all that Dominicans and the government have accomplished to build this country back after the ravages of Hurricane Maria, there could be no worse blow to our efforts than the suspension of airline services and now cruise line services. A suspension which is not as a consequence of bad weather, but is a direct result of bad behavior. One wonders how any political party or leader could so uncaringly act against the interests of the people and country they say they want to lead.
In more top stories, leader of the opposition United Workers' Party has appealed to the United States and other countries to intervene as protesters were engaged by law enforcement officers on Thursday. The opposition leader is not happy with the presence of regional security. The Prime Minister has sought the help of regional counterparts to provide reinforcement for local police to keep the peace during the elections.
We are calling now on the friendly governments around the world who understand democracy and what it means. We need help in Dominica. Because where we have a government that has the support of other governments who have told us that they're not interested in interfering in the internal affairs of countries, and they were not interested in interfering in Venezuela. They are now in an interference in Dominica where the people are simply trying to have free and fair elections with integrity as the backbone of their democracy. And we're watching these CARICOM leaders who hypocritically told us that they were supporting the Maduro administration to brutalize Venezuelans and to keep them in poverty, when in fact what they were doing was protecting their own interests. I don't know what interests they're protecting in Dominica, because we have no oil down here, we have no Petrocaribe, largesse that we can hand out. So I don't know what interests they're protecting in Dominica, but they clearly have rallied behind Roosevelt's carrot against the interest of the people of Dominica. And for that, we are calling on other countries in the world to help us, the people of Dominica, to get out from where we are. We need the help of our big brother to the north, the United States of America. We need help.
Linton says this is a very troublesome time for the people of Dominica.
Roosevelt's carrot has been able to get the agreement of other leaders of CARICOM to send in troops to Dominica, troops that will be here through the election. So we have foreign soldiers, foreign police officers on our soil in Dominica while the election is taking place. That is intimidation. We have seen what happened since the officers arrived in Dominica, as announced by Mrs. Carrot last night. Since these officers arrived in Dominica, we have seen the people of Salisbury tear-gassed in their homes between 4 and 5 o'clock this morning, and the assault on them, the chemical warfare assault on them, continuing into the morning. The majority of these people have absolutely nothing to do with any protest action. A protest action is taking place on the west end of Salisbury, but somehow police officers, since the arrival in Dominica of the officers from the regional security system, were tear-gassing innocent Dominicans in their homes in Salisbury at 4 o'clock this morning.
Mr. Linton says his party has decided to contest the election, even if, in their view, it is neither free nor fair. In more developments, the Catholic Church has spoken out on the insulting and embarrassing action taken against two of its most recognized members. Here is Julian Morris with that story.
On Monday, 2nd December, Bishop of Roseau Gabriel Malze and His Eminence Kelvin Cardinal Felix were headed to the Douglas Charles Airport in Marigot when they encountered protesters in the area. The Catholic clergy has condemned this confrontational behavior towards the head of the Catholic Church.
We, the Catholic clergy of the Diocese of Roseau, consider it an act of disgrace and disrespect, not only to the head of the Catholic Church in Dominica, but to the clergy and the lay faithful as well. While we recognize the dissatisfaction and passion associated with the issue of electoral reform and political positions in general, we believe that there are more humane and civil methods of expressing concerns and resolving conflicts.
Director of the Diocesan Pastoral Center, Monsignor William John Lewis, acknowledges the importance of electoral reform and says the Church has voiced its opinion on the issue.
The Church has spoken on numerous occasions about electoral reform. We refer to the words of Bishop Malze in his New Year's Day homily. I quote, "Of concern to many here in Dominica, especially during the past days, is the issue of electoral reform. It is a long-standing issue which is impacting and affecting our society. It is imperative, therefore, that those responsible move with some alacrity to see that all is put in place for the appearance of free and fair general elections, which are due this year. Brothers and sisters, we are duty-bound to do all in our power to maintain a just and peaceful society. We must seek, as a people, to transcend party political interests and to work for the good of all citizens of our beloved country."
Monsignor John Lewis also pointed to the Code of Conduct, which was prepared by the Dominica Christian Council and Dominica Association of Evangelical Churches, which the Bishop made reference to during the Christ the King celebration in November.
We wish to remind all citizens that, I quote, "Our duty as clergy is to recognize that our basic obligation is to promote unity in our communities," end of quote. And secondly, again I quote, "to refrain from saying or doing anything likely to be interpreted as partisan politics. We encourage all people of goodwill to continue to pray and work for free, fair, and peaceful elections, and that, quote, we accept the verdict of the majority, even if it differs from the way one has voted, according to one's conscience.
You're watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
When persons with TB sneeze or cough, healthy persons nearby breathe in the droplets and the bacteria can lodge in their lungs. People with weakened immune systems such as HIV/AIDS, alcohol and drug users, smokers, children, and the elderly are most susceptible. Persons with a cough should take precautions when in contact with persons in public places. Cover your mouth when sneezing and coughing. Visit your doctor or health center. You must complete your treatment. TB can be cured even with HIV. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB and HIV. Protect yourself and others.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing, it's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Welcome back. Students of the Dominica State College to return to the institution on Monday. The suspension of classes due to protest action around the country, which forced the college to take proactive safety measures. On Wednesday, the road to the college was blocked and set on fire, and students were made to leave the compound early as a concern for their well-being. Public Relations and Recruitment Officer of the Dominica State College, Monel Alexis, says the DSC board has the students' best interest at heart.
At a meeting of deans and the president of the Dominica State College, it was determined that the continuous blockages of the nation's highways, which prevents students coming to classes, places students under significant stress as they review their work and prepare for exams, which begins on Tuesday, 10th December 2019. As a result, all classes were suspended until Monday, 9th December 2019. Students are asked to remain at home and prepare for exams. Students are also reminded to check their outbound communication and the Dominica State College social media sites for further notices.
The suspension of classes is also expected to reduce stress levels among the students.
President of the college, Dr. Donald Peters, said that under the current circumstances, with students on their way to school are made to turn back because of blockages, the college had no choice but to suspend classes in order to minimize the stress and anxiety levels that the students have expressed and to ensure their safety.
Election officers around the country now better equipped to carry out their duties on Friday. This as the Electoral Office completed a series of zonal training sessions for elections officers earlier this week. According to a press release from the Electoral Office, the sessions targeted returning officers, election clerks, presiding officers, poll clerks, and assistant poll clerks. The Electoral Office aimed to update the skills and knowledge of election officers to manage the electoral process on polling day. Chief Elections Officer Ian Michael Anthony says the sessions were a success and increased the readiness of election officers to effectively administer the polls.
As part of preparations for General Elections 2019, the office would have conducted training sessions on a zonal basis for all officers. Those trainings were very successful and allowed us to ensure that everybody is on a level playing field, that everybody has the same set of instructions, and that on polling day, all officers will carry out those instructions in the same manner. And I would like to remind voters to go out and cast their ballot, and importantly, to pay attention to the instructions that will be given to them by the presiding officers.
Sessions included a simulation election day exercise to demonstrate best practices and measures to address potential issues which may arise on polling day. And Prophet Griffin Daniel has condemned the pockets of violence that have sprung up in the country in a lead-up to Friday's general elections. Residents of Salisbury complained on Thursday against the operation of local and regional forces deployed there to keep the peace where protest action has been ongoing. Residents have complained that peaceful citizens were affected by tear gas used in the early hours of the morning by the forces in the community.
Fellow citizens, it is with sadness of heart that I want to send a strong call to all of us Dominicans that we should promote unity and not the fightings that is now occurring in our Dominica. What is now going on, fellow citizens, it must be condemned by everyone, whether citizen or not. Our country has been a peaceful one and should remain so. It was said by the Bishop Malzier in his delivery at the Feast of Christ the King. He could not have said it better. He called on us Dominicans not to lose sight of who we are as a Christian nation. He warned us. He went on to say that every one of us has the privilege to vote according to our consciences. He also reminded us not to accept bribes, among other things. Bishop Malzier, I did read and listen to you, and what you said made so much sense. You spoke to the hearts of all of us, not only those who were sitting listening to you on that particular Sunday. Fellow citizens, let us reflect on the importance of this election, and let us do the rightful thing. I call on us to stop the fighting in our country. Our country has been a peaceful one and should not change. Let us show it over and over again, even at the time when we share different opinions. I want to remind us that the world is looking at us. What example are we setting for future generation? I'm calling on leaders of both sides to ask our people to be peaceful. Let all go to the polls on polling day and vote according to our consciences. Let peace reign in our country. I call on us, just a couple more days left for us to go to the polls. Let us remember this, our country. Let us make sure that we do the right thing on this coming election day. I was hoping, therefore, that the evangelical churches, someone should have been speaking of. I speak not on behalf of any denomination. I speak as a pastor and also a citizen of the Commonwealth of Dominica. I therefore want to reiterate, I condemn very, very strongly, with no uncertain terms, what is now happening in our country. I ask all of us to be sober. I ask all of us to be peaceful. I hear each side say you're peaceful. But what is peaceful? What is peaceful? I'm calling on all of us to be very peaceful. Thank you. May the Lord bless our nation, and may the Lord bless Dominica.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Scarlett reassures voters there will be peaceful elections on Friday. Opposition leader calls for U.S. intervention as regional forces join local police on the ground in an effort to restore law and order. And election officers conclude training in preparation for polling day on Friday. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.